Mikhail Kalashnikov was studying a German weapon while lying in a hospital bed. He would create the AK-47 inspired by this weapon. But what was that German weapon and how did it change the world? That weapon was the StG44 Sturmgewehr, meaning assault rifle in German. This weapon was the most revolutionary invention in modern warfare history. But the Sturmgewehr story isn't just about a weapon, it's about how German engineering tried to change the fate of war. In 1941, on the Eastern Front, the Wehrmacht faced a serious problem. Traditional warfare tactics weren't working. The Mauser Kar 98K rifle was effective at long range, but heavy and slow. The MP40 machine pistol was deadly at close range, but had limited range. Soldiers had to carry two different weapons. German weapons engineers Hugo Schmeisser and Louis Stange proposed a revolutionary idea. What if a single weapon could function as both rifle and machine pistol? What if there was a weapon specially designed for medium-range warfare? The starting point was ammunition. The traditional 7.92mm Mauser cartridge was too powerful and had too much range. 80% of combat shots occurred at distances shorter than 400 meters. So why was such a powerful cartridge needed? Hugo Schmeisser developed the 7.92 33mm Kurz cartridge. Kurz meant short in German. This cartridge used half the powder of traditional cartridges with a lighter bullet. Result: less recoil, easier control, but still deadly effective. The first prototype emerged in 1942 under the name MKB-42 Maschinenkarabiner. Test results were surprising. The weapon could fire both semi-automatic and full automatic, effective at 470 meters but controllable like a machine pistol. But there was the Hitler problem. The Führer looked suspiciously at new weapon projects. "Soldiers waste too much ammunition," he said. Projects came to a standstill. German engineers played a clever game. They introduced the weapon as Maschinenpistole 43, machine pistol. They told Hitler they weren't developing a new rifle, just making an improved version of the existing machine pistol. In 1943, test results from the Eastern Front arrived. Units using the MP-43 had 50% increased firepower superiority. Soldiers effective at both close and long range could repel Soviet attacks more easily. These results convinced even Hitler, but then he made a move that went down in history books. He changed the weapon's name. Sturmgewehr 44, assault rifle 44. Hitler had unknowingly created a new weapon category. The StG44's design was revolutionary. It used a gas piston system, 30-round magazine, selective fire mode, and most importantly, fully controllable automatic fire. Weight was 5.1 kilograms, length 94 centimeters. When production began, the numbers were impressive. From 1943 to 1945, 425,000 units were produced. StG44s began appearing on every front, in every battle. In Normandy, American paratroopers were surprised when they encountered the StG44. A single German soldier's firepower equaled an entire American squad. The weapon's full auto mode provided great advantage in close combat. In the Ardennes offensive, the performance of StG44-equipped units was remarkable. American generals wrote worried notes in reports about the enemy's new assault rifle. On the Eastern Front, Soviet soldiers received the StG44 with great respect. They began using captured weapons in their own units. In Soviet reports, it was referred to as German Automat. The Mikhail Kalashnikov story begins here. The young tank commander, wounded in 1941, was lying in hospital listening to stories about German weapons from his comrades. Especially the StG44's automatic fire feature fascinated him. Kalashnikov wrote in his memoirs, "What I heard about the Germans' new weapon impressed me greatly. If they have such a weapon, why shouldn't we?" When the war ended in 1945, StG44 technology spread worldwide. Americans studied StG44s to develop the M16. The British used it in the EM2 project. The French created the famous. But the greatest impact was in the Soviet Union. When Kalashnikov completed the AK-47 in 1947, the influence of the StG44 was clear. Gas piston system, 30-round magazine, selective fire, all came from the StG44. Modern military historians define the StG44 as the father of assault rifles. Every assault rifle in the world today, AK-47, M16, AR-15, SCAR, HK-416, all have their roots in the StG44. The StG44 created not just a technical revolution, but a tactical one too. The Sturmtruppen, assault troops concept developed around this weapon. Rapid movement, flexible fire support, medium-range dominance. The success of AK-47s in the Vietnam War was essentially the triumph of StG44 technology. In Afghanistan, Iraq, in modern conflicts, all assault rifles used are descendants of the StG44. Today, there are over 100 million AK-47s worldwide. Each carries the DNA of the StG44. The modern AR-15 platform also uses the same principles. There are few inventions in weapons technology history as influential as the StG44. This weapon wasn't just a tool of war, it changed the shape of modern infantry tactics, weapon design, even geopolitics. Hugo Schmeisser was taken to the Soviets after the war and worked on the AK-47 project. He witnessed his own invention being copied by enemies. 425,000 units were produced. If the war had lasted longer, it might have been millions. But even this number was enough to shape the modern world. Mikhail Kalashnikov in that hospital bed wasn't just designing a weapon, he was creating the most widespread weapon of the second half of the 20th century, and it all started with that German Sturmgewehr. The StG44s displayed in museums today stand silently, but their legacy shapes the world every day. The weapon that wrote the language of modern warfare was the genius of German engineers in 1943, StG44. Not just a weapon, but the beginning of a revolution, and that revolution continues still.